The Quiet Town, a Clocktower Tales story. Joe noticed the silence before anything else. It wasn't the peaceful kind you found in the countryside, where birdsong and distant traffic softened the quiet. This silence felt deliberate, pressed down upon the town like a held breath. Even the engine of their car seemed too loud as they pulled into the driveway of their new home. Kate stepped out first, stretching her legs. "It's still," she said. Joe smiled, though something in his chest tightened. "That's what you wanted. Somewhere calm." The house stood waiting. 2 stories, pale brick, windows dark and reflective as if watching them arrive. The neighboring houses were identical in height and shape, each garden trimmed with careful precision. No toys, no washing lines, no signs of life. "Do you think anyone lives here?" Kate joked weakly. Joe laughed, but the sound didn't travel far. The first few days passed without incident, though Joe couldn't shake the feeling that time behaved strangely in the town. The sun rose and set when it should, yet the days blurred together. They met neighbors who smiled too long and spoke too little. "You'll like it here," one woman said, gripping Kate's hand with cold fingers. "Everyone always does." There was no pub, no school, no church, just houses, roads, trees that leaned inward, as if listening. They saw a strange old man on the 7th day. Kate noticed him first. They were standing in the shop, Joe comparing prices, when she felt the now familiar prickle crawl up her spine. She turned slowly, heart stuttering. Across the street, through the shop window, stood an old man. He wasn't shopping. He wasn't talking to anyone. He was watching them. "Joe," she whispered, "please tell me you see him." Joe followed her gaze. The man's eyes locked onto his immediately, unblinking, too dark to reflect the light, too still. "I don't know him," Joe said. The man didn't move. A bus passed. When it was gone, the man was gone too. After that, he appeared everywhere. On the path near the trees, when they walked the dog, always just far enough away. At the edge of the car park, across the road, when they left the house. Never speaking, never approaching, just watching. Kate stopped sleeping properly. "He's following us," she said one night. "He knows where we live." Joe tried to reassure her, but he began checking locks twice, then 3 times. The knocking came during the storm. The wind battered the house hard enough to make the walls groan. Rain lashed the windows, blurring the outside world into dark streaks. They were watching a film when the sound came. 3 knocks, soft, careful. Kate muted the TV. "Joe?" "Wind," he said too quickly. Then the doorbell rang. Joe felt a cold wash over him as he stood. The hallway seemed longer than usual. The front door loomed. He opened it. Nothing. No footsteps, no retreating shadow. Just the street, wet and empty. When he shut the door, the lock clicked louder than it ever had before. Later that evening, Kate woke thirsty. As she passed the bedroom window, she stopped. The garden was wrong. Too dark. Too still. Then she saw him, standing beneath the tree, looking up. When he raised his arm and pointed, Kate screamed. Joe threw the window open. "Go away!" The man didn't react. He simply stepped backward into the bushes and vanished, silently, impossibly. Joe stood frozen, listening. Nothing moved, not even the wind. Kate barely spoke the next day. That evening, she found the note. "Leave this town." Her hands shook so badly she dropped it. Joe read it 3 times. The handwriting was jagged, as if written in a hurry or fear. "We called the police," Kate said. Joe nodded. But when he picked up his phone, there was no signal. That night, Joe dreamed of chanting, low voices, dozens of them. When he woke, the sound was still there, coming from downstairs. Joe lay still, eyes open, listening. The sound was faint but unmistakable. Voices. They rose and fell in uneven rhythm, not loud enough to make out words, but layered, too many to count. The sound crawled through the floorboards like something alive. Joe sat up slowly. Kate was already awake. "Joe," she whispered, "you hear it too?" He nodded. The noise was coming from downstairs. Joe wrapped his fingers around the baseball bat, the wood warm from his grip. Kate held the heavy flashlight like a lifeline, its beam trembling as they stepped onto the landing. Each step down the staircase felt wrong, longer than before, as if the house itself was stretching, resisting them. The chanting stopped. Silence rushed in to replace it. They reached the bottom. The living room light flicked on by itself. Joe raised the bat. A figure stood near the window. "Please," the man said, "don't hit me." Kate gasped. "It's him." The man they'd been seeing everywhere stood in their living room, soaked from the rain, his face lined deeper up close, etched with exhaustion and terror. Joe took a step forward. "Get out of our house." "If I leave," the man said, voice shaking, "they'll know you didn't listen." Kate's voice trembled. "Who are they?" The man swallowed. "Everyone." He told them quickly, urgently, as if every second mattered. The town wasn't on any map. It never had been. People didn't move there by accident. They were brought, drawn in by listings that vanished, by opportunities that no longer existed once accepted. "The town feeds on new blood," the man said, "on outsiders." Joe shook his head. "This is insane." "I was like you," the man said. "I tried to leave. They don't let you." Kate asked the question she hadn't wanted to voice. "What happens during the ritual?" The man looked at the floor. "They make the town real again." A sound echoed through the house, glass cracking. The man's eyes widened. "They're early." The living room window shattered inward. Dark-robed figures filled the street beyond. Their chanting louder now, clearer. Kate screamed as something struck the man from behind. He collapsed without another sound. Joe grabbed her hand. "We're leaving. Now." They ran. The house felt hostile. Doors swinging shut too slowly, the hallway stretching again. The chanting seeped through the walls, rising in pitch, in urgency. Joe snatched the car keys from the counter. The front door burst open. Figures stood shoulder to shoulder, faces hidden, voices unified. Kate sobbed. "Joe, please." He unlocked the car, shoved her inside, and slammed the door just as hands brushed the window. The engine roared to life. They sped away as Kate dialed the police, her voice cracking as she spoke. I think people are trying to kill us." The town fought back. Roads bent where they shouldn't. Turns led them past the same houses again and again. Street signs flickered, letters peeling away, until they read nothing at all. "Joe," Kate whispered, "we've been here before." Joe didn't answer. The chanting followed them, echoing from the trees, from the empty houses. Then, suddenly, the road opened. Lights appeared. The town ended. Joe drove until dawn. They were found at Joe's parents' house, shaking, exhausted, clinging to each other like survivors of a shipwreck. The police listened in silence. When Joe finished, an officer cleared his throat. "There's no record of the town you described," he said carefully. "No property sale, no address." Kate laughed weakly. "That's not funny." The officer slid a file across the table. "You were reported missing 3 weeks ago." Joe stared. "We moved in 7 days ago." The officer shook his head. You made the missing persons call tonight. That's how we found you. Kate's breath hitched. What about the man? The town? There's nothing there, the officer said. Satellite images show woodland. Joe tried to remember the town's name. He couldn't. That night, at Joe's parents' house, Kate woke screaming. She pointed at the window. Outside, in the darkness of the garden, stood a figure, watching, waiting.